This is my vinyl finds for February 11th, 2025. It's only been a few days since my last vinyl find, but I had a bunch of records. These are from a couple record stores and a few online purchases. I'll just get right into it. The first record I found was Smashing Pumpkins' Gish. I went to Sibylline Records. They had posted on Instagram that they had some early 90s rock and roll, and this is the first thing I grabbed. This came out in 1991. They weren't that big yet, but this was released in August of 91. But they have the song Tristessa in December of 90. That came out on Sub Pop as their Sub Pop Singles Club number 90, SP90, the song Tristessa. And I have it on pink vinyl. The rare one that you want, if you see it on marble gray, that's pretty rare. They've made 2,500 of these singles, but only a couple hundred of the marble gray. This came out, this is UK from 91, and it came out on the, what was it? The Hut Records label. This was produced by Butch Vig, and right after he did this album, and he produced it with Billy Corgan, he did Nirvana's Nevermind. So then he made it to big stardom. But Smashing Pumpkins, Gish. 34 years ago, this concert took place. This is from 1991 in Houston, Dallas, and Austin. Red Hot Chili Peppers were the headliners. Smashing Pumpkins and Pearl Jam were the openers. They had a tour that went from October 91 and ended in Seattle in 1992. Red Hot Chili Peppers was touring with Blood Sugar Sex Magic album. Pumpkins were touring with Gish, and Pearl Jam 10. And 10 outsold all of these. Red Hot Chili Peppers did really well, and Gish did the worst amongst them all. But there's a really cool poster. And then also at Sibylline, they had Pearl Jam's 10. This is the 1992 UK pressing on Epic. The CD came out August of 91, but it didn't get pressed on vinyl until February of 92. Has the insert, and only in the UK. It wasn't released in the United States on vinyl until 94. There's also a picture disc of 10. This poster is from 34 years ago. Pearl Jam 10, the debut album from Pearl Jam, includes former members of Mother Love Bone. On the reverse of that poster, it just says Pearl Jam. They gave this poster out to record stores when they were promoting the album. This is my favorite Pearl Jam album. Mother Love Bone I like better than Pearl Jam, but I like Pearl Jam, but this album, really good. Went to Record Safari next. And when I was at Record Safari, I picked up the latest version of Record Collector News. On the cover is the High Moon Records, put out by Jim, and very prominent ad by Record Safari right there. I wonder how much that cost. But this is the February-March edition, and it's a great magazine. It talks about all the record stores on the West Coast, where to find them. It's got a nice big map of all the different record stores, and they got a few different articles. And then when you open it up and you flip the page once, on the opposite of Freak Beat Records, there is, I made a deal with Jim, and we kind of made a trade. And because of that, I have some of my wants here, my grunge wants and my psych wants. I'm not going to read it out here. Go to page 4, the latest Record Collector News, and it'll tell you what I'm looking for. Okay, Record Safari. They had this in the wall, the Standells. Why pick on me? Sometimes good guys don't wear white. Don't really know about that title. Dawn Tower Records. This is the mono. This came out in 1966. I have their other album on Tower, and it's got Dirty Water on it. Why am I forgetting the name of the Standells? This is the same orange label that Pink Floyd's Piper at the Gates of Dawn is on, because they were released. Also the same label, the Chocolate Watchband. And I really like Tower, and I try to pick up everything I can on the Tower label. Their biggest song was Dirty Water, but this album, I haven't heard it in a very long time. It's got some really good tracks. Black-Hearted Woman, they do a cover of Painted Black by the Rolling Stones, and they do a really good cover of My Little Red Book by Love. It's more of a hard rock garage edge than Love, and I really like that version. While I was looking through the bins, the owner was pricing these Back from the Grave comps. I've seen these comps over the years, but I never had them. Volume 4, Volume 5, Volume 6, and Volume 10. Looks like I need all the others. These are great. It's garage rock. It's not psych. And actually, I'm going to read something that talks better about it than I would. Unlike many garage rock compilations, the Back from the Grave series focuses exclusively on the rawer and more aggressive side of the genre. Psychedelic rock is categorically excluded. The series also includes very few pop or folk-oriented songs. As a result, the albums are primarily populated by louder songs that are characterized by fuzz guitars, rough vocals, and are clearly influenced by groups such as the Rolling Stones, the Yardbirds, the Early Kinks, and the Pretty Things. The lyrics and performances tend to focus on anger, lust, and cheating girlfriends, matching the often chaotic music. According to the liner notes, the songs were American groups recorded somewhere between 1964 and 1967. The next record from Record Safari is Bob Dylan's Modern Times. This came out in 2006, August of 2006, featuring 10 new songs. This is a really good album. It's his first album that charted in the United States since 1976. In 2006, I had just gotten back from the Summer Olympics in Athens, Greece, where I was working for NBC doing the television part of it. And this came out at the end of August, and I immediately had to do like bull riding and some beach volleyball on weekends. And I bought this CD in some city, and then I played it in my laptop in the hotel for the next month and a half of working. Wherever I was working, played it over and over and over. And I really, really love the songs and the memories it brings to me. The Levee's Gonna Break. Really love that. Thunder on the Mountain, When the Deal Goes Down, Someday. All these, so Working Man Blues, number 2, really good. I like this a lot. The Chocolate Watchband, This Is My Voice. This is the chocolate watch band from the 60s that had No Way Out and Inner Mystique, two great, amazing Psych garage albums that everyone knows about. But this is new tracks they recorded in 2019. Around that time, or before that time, they got back together and played some shows. And then I think they had such a good time playing the shows that they recorded some tracks. They've got cover of Zappa, Trouble Every Day. They got Bob Dylan doing Desolation Row. The Seeds, Can't Seem to Make You Mind. This is interesting.
You mail them from Desolation Row.
I've streamed it a few times, a few of the tracks. Haven't opened this yet. I will open it and I'll give it a good listen. It's Dirty Water Records from 2019. I love Chocolate Watchband. I even did a video on the Inner Mystique, an Acid Archives video about a year ago, and you can go here and check out that video. This poster right here is from 58 years ago today, February 11th in 1967 at the Santa Clara Fairgrounds. It's Love is the headlining act. Mojo Min and Chocolate Watch Band were the support act. It was a celebration of the 158th birthday of Abraham Lincoln. They even called it Big Abe's Birthday Party. That was the event. It's $2.50 and it starts at 8:30 at night. I would have loved to have seen that show. Okay, online. We've got the Millenium Begin. It is got a timing strip. It says August 17th, 1968. This is Psych Pop, Sunshine Pop. It's on the Columbia label. It is stereo. It's kind of got a nice melody and lush harmonies, but it's Sunshine Poppy. I don't like Sunshine Pop too much. I don't like a lot of pop Psych. I do like Zombies and Gandalf and that such, but not so much Sunshine Pop. It's not a promo. It just has the timing strip. The main guy of this band, Kurt Butcher, he was a significant figure, they say, in the Sunshine Pop movement, and like Brian Wilson, at the same time, in 1968, he was doing interesting things in the studio, and his production and songwriting skills were super strong. Very West Coast pop. I don't like it too much, but I'm going to keep trying. Another online buy is my favorite Van Morrison album. This is 1968, Astral Weeks. Promotion, not for sale, so it is a promo album. It has like the original inner, advertising some Bill Cosby records. It is the white Warner Brothers label. They recorded this album in 2 recording sessions with not much rehearsal at all, and it turned out great. Every song on here, Astral Weeks, Beside You, Sweet Thing, Cypress Avenue, Young Lovers Do, Madam George, Ballerina, Slow Slim Rider, all these songs are great songs. And at the same time he was doing this album, his band, Them, without Van Morrison, was on the West Coast doing their version of music without his voice, and it's really good. And I have a video on Them without Van Morrison somewhere in one of my videos. But great album. Actually, his best album. This poster is 44 years ago. It's from February 4th, 1971. In Seattle at the Paramount Theater, and he was promoting the album His Band and the Street Choir, which came out a few years after Astral Weeks That came out in 1970. Moondance came after this, and then the album His Band and Street Choir came out, and that's what he was promoting. I would have liked to have seen that concert. I don't really like Van Morrison much anymore, but back then he was great. This next album is jazz. Lee Morgan style jazz. This album is the Rumproller. And it's a good album. It's not as good as his album the year before from 1964, The Sidewinder. That's what made him, that's where he's really famous. And he made some money from that, I imagine, compared to this. But this is still a good album. This is an original stereo first pressing. You can tell first pressing, at least the cover. It's got 43rd West 61st Street. And then on the vinyl, it's got the New York labels, as opposed to the Liberty labels that came out the year after that. And also it's got the Van Gelder stamp, which you can't see, and it's got the ear, which is right there, and that tells you that that is a first pressing of this. About a year after Van Morrison played that concert, Lee Morgan would be shot by his wife in New York, ending his career. I'd be curious if he would have been one of the players who've played all the way until now, how many albums he would have had. That would have been so nice if he's been playing at the Hollywood Bowl. The last album that I got for this video is the Bards, the Moses Lake Recordings. The Bards were a garage band from the Northwest in Moses Lake, and it says the Moses Lake Recordings. They were a garage band, and they lived in Moses Lake in between Spokane and Seattle. So they'd have to go to Seattle or Spokane or Portland or Idaho to play gigs. And they had about, from 66 to 71, they had 8 good singles. And their best single, in my opinion, is the cover of The Who's My Generation.
Don't try and dig what we all say. Talking about my generation. I'm not trying to cause some big sensation. Talking about my generation. I'm just talking about my generation. About my generation. My generation.
Towards the end of the 60s, they started to do a more psych sound, and in 68, they went down to Los Angeles, and they recorded this album, but it never got released until 2002. And so this is on Gear Fab Records, 2002, fully recorded in 68. They were done with the garage, and they were more psych, but really after listening to it, they're kind of going on a prog vein. I don't really enjoy it too much. There's a few good moments, but it's not as good as their singles. Their garage singles were great. They did have a single, not on this album, but Too Much Love by Curtis Mayfield. That kind of what got them popular, and that's what got them into LA to do this. But, you know, it's light psych.
Has it all been said?
That's my vinyl finds for February 11th, 2025. I'm going to New York in the morning to work and have one day looking around for some records. I'm sure I'll do a video on what I find. Like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next video.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. People try to put us down. Talking about my generation. Just because we get around. Talking about my generation. Think they do look awful cold. Talking about my generation. I hope I die before I get old. Talking about my generation. My generation, baby. Why don't y'all fade away? Talking about my generation. Don't try and dig what we all say. Talking about my generation. I'm not trying to cause some big sensation. Talking about my generation. generation. Talking about my generation. My generation, baby. Why don't y'all fade away? Talking about my generation. Don't try and dig what we all say. Talking about my generation. I'm not trying to cause some big sensation. Talking about my generation. I'm just talking about my generation. Talking about my generation. My generation.